Managing a classroom, it is a harder task than most believe it to be. There are multiple facets that must be addressed when contemplating teaching in a classroom context. To engage in an effective classroom, the teacher must be competent in planning, organising, and analysing. Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligences is a creative classroom thinking strategy that can be utilised not only to manage a classroom effectively, but to also engage students in a wider range of learning contexts. So what is this theory of multiple intelligences? The theory was developed by Howard Gardner, whom was an education professor at Harvard University in 1983. This was as Gardner believed that the idea that intelligence is measured in the relation to reading, writing, and arithmetic was outdated and invalid. He explains it as his belief that every person has 9 different types of intelligence and that the strengths of these intelligences vary in different individuals. Gardner has distinguished the intelligences as intrapersonal intelligence, interpersonal intelligence, musical intelligence, spatial intelligence, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, natural intelligence, existential intelligence, verbal linguistic intelligence, and logical mathematical intelligence. Intrapersonal intelligence is described as the capacity to detect and respond appropriately to the moods, motivations, and the desires of others. Interpersonal intelligence differs from this as it is described as the capacity to be self-aware and in tune with inner feelings, values, beliefs, and thinking processes. Musical intelligence is the ability to produce and appreciate rhythm, pitch, and timbre. Spatial intelligence is known as the capacity to think in images and pictures, to visualize accurately and abstractly. Bodily kinesthetic intelligence is the ability to control one's body movements and to handle objects skillfully. The ability to recognize and categorize plants, animals, and other objects in nature is known as naturalistic intelligence. Existential intelligence is known as the sensitivity and capacity to tackle deep questions about human existence, such as the meaning of life, why do we die, and how did we get here. Verbal linguistic intelligence is described as well-developed verbal skills and the sensitivity to sounds, meanings, and rhythm of words. Finally, logical mathematical intelligence is known as the ability to think conceptually and abstractly and the capacity to discern logical or numerical patterns. It was Gardner's belief that these intelligences are located in different parts of the brain and can work either independently or cooperatively. Multiple intelligences are often used in classroom contexts. We know what is known as an inclusive classroom is greatly aided through the use of multiple intelligences. Inclusive classrooms ensure that all students have the opportunity to be educated regardless of race, gender, mental capability, and so forth. Multiple intelligences assist the development of inclusive classrooms as it rejects the one-size-fits-all approach that is so often seen in schools. Teachers can offer students the chance to experiment with their learning in a range of different styles. A topic can be chosen and explored through the use of each different intelligence. For example, activities that can stem from the use of a storybook could be discussing the roles of characters, as verbal linguistic intelligence, categorizing characters according to their appearance and characteristics, logical mathematical intelligence, using the characteristics outlined to recreate their own visual representation of characters, as spatial intelligence, a classroom production of the story, bodily kinesthetic intelligence, create music based on the mood of the story, musical intelligence, quiet time to assess the book cover and draw their own conclusions, intrapersonal intelligence, sharing these ideas and using other students' ideas to create a new picture of the characters, interpersonal intelligence, and how to discuss the characters' relationships as opposed to the natural relationships that occur outside, naturalistic intelligence. Activities such as these cannot be completed simultaneously. Rather, they can be extended across a few weeks to allow students to access each intelligence activity in depth. This enables students to further develop their known strengths and build on the weaknesses they may have identified throughout the process. These activities can be set out into learning centres but can also be done as a whole class. Students will begin to understand that there is no one way of learning. One student may not be able to complete simple maths equations on paper using spatial intelligence, but can quickly complete the equation when using concrete materials, so using their bodily kinesthetic intelligence. The supplementation of one intelligence to another allows students to explore the relationships between these intelligences and how the relationship enables them to extend their prior knowledge and understanding. The initial stages of implementing the use of multiple intelligences in the classroom may seem daunting. However, through the use of intelligence-based activities or through the use of multimedia activities, students will become more comfortable knowing their brain and how it functions. The use of multiple intelligences in the classroom will allow teachers to assess students individually and to support them according to the needs that are displayed by these intelligences. The suitability of multiple intelligences in the classroom can be justified through the previous examples given. The intelligences can be set apart from each other in the classroom as different learning centres. Students are able to move from centre to centre or intelligence to intelligence and decode the ideas from the base topic according to the instructions given to them. Students are able to access different parts of their mind in alternative ways in comparison to that which they are used to. Understanding the different intelligences allows students to discover their strongest intelligences and to continue to develop them, as well as putting in extra effort for their weaker intelligences. As the intelligences work together, teachers can help develop bonds between the weaknesses and the strengths in individuals, granting them a greater chance of success in the future. There are many considerations that must be addressed by teachers who wish to implement multiple intelligences in their classroom. They must formulate a working plan before they begin to implement the intelligences in the classroom. If a structure is not set out and understood by the teacher prior to implementation, the students will just become confused and teaching will become incoherent. Teachers must also consider how this change of structure will affect their students. Some students may be comfortable in the day-to-day routine of being talked at, and the prospect of change may frighten them. Teachers must evaluate the classroom and decide whether a change to include multiple intelligences will be positive or negative in their classroom. Once this has been established, the teacher must investigate the students' backgrounds in order to gain a greater understanding of their strengths in the different intelligences. This will allow the teacher to understand the students in a greater depth and then will be able to relate classroom content in a way that is understandable to each student. There are both positives and negatives when regarding the implementation of multiple intelligences as a tool for student development. As stated previously, some students may become frightened of a change and may reject a new classroom structure that incorporates the multiple intelligences. These students could become destructive and restrict the learning of their peers and of themselves. It is important to gauge students' reactions when providing prototype activities that reflect different intelligences. However, the benefits of multiple intelligences in a classroom is remarkable. By incorporating ideas that address different intelligences, teachers allow the students to learn in ways they have not previously known. Students can use this new knowledge to search out answers for themselves using inquiry learning as a tool. They can strengthen their knowledge in individual intelligences via experimentation and curiosity as they want to know what they are capable of. They are able to build their confidence through the use of knowledge, and the students are able to gain a variety of skills through the different intelligences that they may not usually be exposed to. The theory of multiple intelligence also reflects various biblical perspectives. The Bible states in 1 Corinthians 12, verse 20 to 25, "But now indeed there are many members, yet one body. And the eye cannot say to the hand, I have no need of you, nor again the head to the feet, I have no need of you. No, much rather those members of the body which seem to be weaker are necessary, and those members of the body which we think are to be less honourable, on those we bestow greater honour, and our unpresentable parts have greater modesty. But our presentable parts have no need. But God composed the body, having given greater honour to that part which lacks it. But there should be no schism in the body, but that the members should have the same care for one another." These scriptures reflect Gardner's ideology that each individual has all of these intelligences within themselves. The 9 intelligences make up a person's character as they all coexist inside us. The varying strengths of these intelligences enable a person to connect with God in their own individual manner. This is as the strengths we have been given have been chosen by God for us for a specific purpose. The theory of multiple intelligences is a very effective tool in the classroom. It allows teachers to individually assess students and to aid them where possible. The theory avoids students being discredited if they do not learn as the majority of the class does. The 9 intelligences permit students to become acquainted with their minds and the way that they learn best. Howard Gardner has opened up a new way of teaching and learning that will extend the way teachers build not only their students' knowledge but also their confidence.